Hey Jim, you done A1, A7, A5. Fees in there. Okay. I knew it was Jim. That's fine. Crystal, do you have an extra copy, written, hard copy of the agenda?
Hey, not cover those, not pull those out this time. Got those straight.
Okay.
I mean, not, I know what's wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just do it next time.
Yes.
That's good.
Waiting on Crystal to get back, then we'll get started.
This crowd is
If that baby's a little girl, I'll take her. I've got 5 granddaughters, and I'd like to have a half a dozen. And I'm interested in a boy too. I only got one grandson.
Skills. Thank you. Anybody else want? Yeah. I'll call this meeting back to order. I need a motion to return out of closed session, please.
I'll make a motion, we come back from closed session.
I second.
Have a motion and a second. Start the voting with Mr. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. McCraw,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Dr. Littrell,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
and I vote yes. I need a certification that we only discuss the items that of A1, A5, A7, and A8.
I so move.
And I second.
Okay. Mr. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. McCraw,
I vote yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Dr. Littrell,
Also certified.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
and I so certify. It's good to see everyone here tonight. I know we're in the middle of our budget sessions, and that's why a lot of you are probably here. So I'm going to ask for everyone to rise. And tonight we have the honor of having Mr. Parker and his local Boy Scout troop here to observe to get their public service merit badge. Is that correct?
Citizenship of the-
Citizenship badge. And I'm going to ask one of them, if he will, to do the pledge and one do the invocation for us.
Okay, hand over your heart and uniform, salute. Go ahead.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes, sir.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity as members of the community of Carroll County to come together in your name to discuss the issues that are very important to us, and that we seek counsel from the Board of Supervisors as well as members of our community to seek solutions, whatever they may be. And we thank you for the blessings that you give us every day to share with others through Christ our Lord. And everybody said,
Amen. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Once again, it's really good to see you all here tonight. It's we don't normally have a crowd like this, and it's a real pleasure to see this many people here. I guess the first item is our approval of the agenda. I needed a motion to approve the agenda, please.
I make a motion.
Have a
Approve the agenda.
motion. A second.
Second.
Have a second. Start the voting with you, Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. McCraw.
Yes.
Mr. Hill.
Yes.
Dr. Littrell.
Yes.
Mr. Martin.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item on the list is the approval of the consent agenda. And I do have two small items that I found on the minutes. On the February 12th meeting, you have Mr. Hendrick and a second by Mr. Phil McCraw. And they're no longer with us. And I think on the February 26th, I think you had listed it was called to order, and that was a call out of recess. We went to recess on that 26th meeting, out of the 12th. Is there anything else that needs to be discussed in the consent agenda, gentlemen? If not, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Start the voting with you, Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. McCraw.
Yes.
Mr. Hill.
Yes.
Dr. Littrell.
Yes.
Mr. Martin.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Let's see, the next item on the list will be William King Museum of Art. Do we have anyone here from that? Okay. April?
Mr. Chairman, not only say that William King has done a lot of programs in the county for many years, and they do a professional job, and normally the school system picks up the cost of it.
I have, next on the agenda is Melissa Deal from the Free Clinic.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are y'all this evening?
Doing good.
I am Melissa Dill. I'm the Executive Director of the Free Clinic of the Twin Counties in Galax, Virginia. I have been Director since April of 2017. I started out as an intern in 2015, finishing up my college degree, and it moved on from there. I would like to introduce you to our Board of Directors by way of just introducing their names and positions in the community. We've got Dr. Robert Pryor. He is our co-founder, our medical director, and a doctor at Carroll in internal medicine. Tracy Farmer, our president. She is an BSN and a CDE. She is a case manager at Twin County Regional Hospital. Matt Fiddler, our vice president, is a social worker at Twin County Regional Hospital. Sheila Key is an executive assistant at Vol Bassett Furniture, and she is our secretary. We've also got Sharon Plichta, who is a member of the Galax City Council. Selena Smith, who is an RN. Susie Willis, who is an LPN at Galax Health and Rehab. Mr. William Shebley, who is County Administrator for Grayson County. And Dr. Robert Lazo, who is at Carroll Clinic Family Medicine. As you can see, Carroll County is very underrepresented on our board, and I would like to rectify that situation. A brief history of the clinic. We were founded in 1991. Dr. Pryor and Dr. Olin Wilson started the mission with a few members of the First Baptist Church of Galax to get the clinic off the ground. We opened our doors to our first patient in August of 1992. Since that time, there have been okay, my clicker wasn't working. Let me get back to where I was. Okay. Okay. Anyway, since 1992, we have been in several different locations in Galax. At one time, we were considered a clinic without walls because our patients went to see different physicians there in the city of Galax who would work with us. In 2010, we moved to our current location, and that's just a little bit of a brief history of our clinic. Y'all should have a little packet that I gave to you. It's got all the PowerPoint slides on it. To qualify for services at the clinic, the first main criteria is you have to live in Carroll County, Grayson County, or the city of Galax. The second is you have to have no health insurance. The third, you have to meet 200% or less of the federal poverty guidelines. And if you'll turn to page 3 in your little packet, you will see those guidelines. And it's also on the next slide. You have to have proof of income or a letter of support. You've got to justify how you're paying your bills, how you're supporting yourself. And then there's a $35 administrative fee for the first year and $25 every year after that. Those are our poverty guidelines. So as you can see, if one person can make up to $24,280 and still qualify for our services. Some of our highlights, our patient base went from 376 patients in 2016 to 483 in 2017. That's a growth of over 2%, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but when you're only open 3 days a week, it gets hectic sometimes. We hired a full-time executive director, which would be myself, And we did receive a grant from the Twin County Community Foundation for expansion of our dental clinic. So we can now do fillings, cleanings, and dentures instead of just extractions like we had been doing. Our clinic stats, last year our one provider saw 483 patients for a total of 1,395 visits. Our counselor saw 9 patients for a total of 34 visits. Our nurses saw 50 patients for a total of 144 visits, and that's just for blood pressure checks, blood glucose checks, and PTI&Rs. Our dental saw 38 patients for a total of 38 visits, and 11 of those were not clinic members. They were just outside only because we do accept, if you don't have dental insurance, we will accept you for the dental clinic. The citizens of Carroll County make up 29% of that 483 number. Some of our 2018 major estimated expenses are our payroll, which is a little over $76,000, and that pays for our physician, myself, my administrative assistant, a pharmacy tech, and a part-time nurse student. Our rent averages about $22,000 a year. Our payroll taxes average about $17,000 a year, and various other expenses, including medical supplies and everything, is a little over $22,000. Last year, Carroll County donated $15,000, which we appreciate greatly. Some of the futures we see for the clinic is we would like to hire a part-time nurse practitioner so we could expand clinic hours and take some of the burden off of Twin County Regional Hospital ER, because they see a lot of our patients for unnecessary visits for abscess teeth and coughs and colds that could easily be taken care of if we had the extra staff. We'd like to hire some more nurses, because right now I've got a part-time LPN and a nursing student. And we'd like to expand our services to include an in-house lab for some basic blood work, lab work. Our patients right now, if they come in with a UTI, we have to send them up to the hospital to get the labs done, and then wait a day, 2, to get the results back. And that prolongs them getting better. Is there any questions?
What do we need to do to get someone on the board of directors? What do you need?
Call me, and I'll email you an application and the date of the next board meeting, and just show up at the meeting and we'll vote on getting you approved. Well, in closing, I would like to thank y'all for your generous support of the free clinic, and hope to continue and work with y'all in the future. Thank you.
Normally, does
Pardon me?
the board meet during the day or in the evening?
Usually at night, we meet at max 6 times a year, mainly about 5:30, 6 o'clock at night.
If nobody else on the board would like to volunteer, I'd be receptive to being on the board.
My number is on that sheet. If you want to call me tomorrow and give me your email address, I will email you a application.
I can't write, so I have a card here.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next is Twin County United Way.
Hey, I'm Mary Ann Holbrook with United Way of Southwest Virginia. I actually have a presentation too, so I'm going to get it plugged in for you. Again, I'm Mary Ann Holbrook. I'm the Director of Community Relations for United Way of Southwest Virginia, and I am here tonight to ask you all to renew your support of the Financial Empowerment Network for this area. Also, I'm going to give you an update on our Ignite program. I did want to start out with a very brief overview of our organization. United Way of Southwest Virginia is now a regional organization. These are all the counties and cities in Southwest Virginia that we provide services and programs in. Everything that we do, we focus on health, education, and financial stability and improving the workforce of tomorrow. This is just an overview of our cradle to career approach. So when you're thinking about where the programs that we do are within the lifespan, they start at the cradle and they end at career. To give you just a little bit of an overview of the different services that we do, I'm going to focus in on the middle school component because that is one of the programs that we have here in Carroll County that's in its second year, but we've taken that to scale across the region. It's called Ignite. This is our case for need for the Ignite program. According to the Virginia Department of Education, less than half of high school graduates in Southwest Virginia go on to technical training. That's 2-year or 4-year higher education, the military, or any kind of training after that. What that statistic doesn't tell you is that for the students who do go on to training, another half of them don't finish past their first year. We are constantly hearing from our employers that we work in that they're experiencing a workforce shortage. So the story that we hear in the media a lot is not enough jobs, but we also know that we have to fill the open positions that we have and that we have a good workforce here. So we're really working hard in this program to make sure that students know about the jobs that they have here in the Southwest Virginia region so that they can stay here. In 2015, 3,000 of Southwest Virginia's youth between ages 16 and 19 were not in school and they weren't working, neither one. So Ignite is a career awareness program. The whole point of the program is to bridge the gap between the schools and students, between employees and employers. So we do this through a web-based software that we've provided to all the schools from the middle school all the way through the high school. It's a plug-in for the app that all the schools use that's called Power School. The software is called Major Clarity. The students are able to use it beginning in 6th grade. People say, that's really early. Why do you focus so early? The Department of Education requires students who are entering high school to have a written career plan in place so that they can decide whether they're going to do that basic diploma or the advanced diploma in high school. So that's where a lot of our focus is. We also do educators and industry tours with 6th grade teachers to make sure that those teachers know what careers and jobs are available here. We divided our whole region of 13 counties and 2 cities into 4 different subregions. So we showed teachers here jobs that are available here in this area, took them into the workplace, gave them ideas for project-based learning that they can use in the classroom. Our Careers Expo for Youth is a hands-on career experience. If you have any 7th grade students in your family, they actually came to this event in September. 7th grade students will be coming again this September. We had over 80 regional employers at this hands-on experience. We had a very diverse array of careers represented there. It wasn't your run-of-the-mill career fair where students get off the bus and they go around and pick up a pen or pick up a pencil or talk to somebody. Every employer there had a 5-minute hands-on activity designed to give that child an idea of what kind of skills they need to use in that workplace. So that's something that we're really proud of. Another thing that we constantly hear from our employers is the need for soft skills training. So somebody to train the students to get to work on time, dress appropriately, work as a team. Those things are really being left behind. So this focuses in on that. We use a curriculum from the Department of Labor called Skills to Pay the Bills, and we've implemented that in the school systems. We also work with the local extension office on money management. We do a reality store where the students have a half-a-day experience that's immersive. They get a career. When they walk into the room, they spin a wheel about their family, and they get to see how many children they have in their family. And they have to live within their means of whatever paycheck that they have. It's a really great experience. It's one of my favorite things that we do. Also, you might have seen some recent media on our internships program that we're developing. We have been granted preliminary funding from Go Virginia from the Region 1 Council. For that, it actually goes to the state Go Virginia Board on April 10th. We also have a request before the Virginia Tobacco Commission to fund another quarter of that internship program. I use the word internships because we want these to be things that the students in high school can go into the employers and get some real, true internship experience and get paid for it. This is Ignite, everybody who benefits from Ignite. I'm not going to read this to you, but obviously it's a wide array. We're also catching the attention of a lot of the local economic development folks that are on staff and the different regional associations. We've started to become part of those meetings that are pitch meetings for folks that are interested in bringing business and industry here. They're very keenly interested in the workforce training that we're doing in the K-12 sector. I wanted to hone in on just Carroll County about Ignite. We have this in St. Paul, Carroll County Middle School, Carroll County High School, and we're serving 2,442 students through that. Now that is really focused right now on that middle school piece, that's 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. The high school piece is in the pilot phase, but they are using the software and have that accessible in the high school right now. And this is a video I wanted to play. We'll see if it'll play through here. Let's see. I have it downloaded. This is our Careers Expo for Youth, and it's just a 1 minute, 30-second video I'll play for you. Maybe not.
There will probably be around 4,300 students in these 2 days.
Like in the classroom, they can tell you a lot of things, but when you get out and do hands-on activities, it's like a day off, but you're still learning.
It's an amazing opportunity for middle school age students who are just starting to think about what the future might hold for them.
You know, the future contractors, the future designers that we're going to have around here. You get a lot of wows when you see things in 3D. You're rotating things and show them how things stack up.
Youth Fandom has been very fun. We got to do like a little mini interview.
Oh, today is wonderful. I can't believe how large it is. I love the hands-on.
Some of them are really fired up to come get on the pole, you know. They want to put the belt on and go up and down the pole and climb it. That's what they've been really wanting to do.
This really gives them an opportunity that at a young age that they can start planning for what they want to do in the future and realize what's available in our area so that they don't have to move outside of, to a larger city and they can stay close to home.
It's always good to see organizations step up and say, this is what we need to do for our youth.
One of the things that I've always been proud of in Southwest Virginia is that we rally behind our kids and want the best for them. And this is an opportunity for all of us to pitch in and do what's best for kids.
I won't talk much longer, I promise. But that video, that 90-second video really gives you a better idea of what the Careers Expo for Youth is. You might have even seen some familiar faces in it. We do still have our Backpacks Unite program as well. And that's in 34 schools serving over 1,100 students now all across Southwest Virginia. We have that here in Gladeville Elementary and Oakland Elementary. I just made a list of different investments and programs and services that we have in Carroll County. I do want to hone in. I'm happy to answer questions and give you a description of any of them. But I wanted to hone in on the Financial Empowerment Network and give you a little bit of an update on that. Last year, you all invested $5,000 in that. And we have fully launched that as of January of this year. So what that means is it's gone public. They're now serving clients. They are working with all the regional employers going into the workplace. They're doing case management, which is one-on-one financial literacy education. And they even do group classes for different employers. And that's a partnership that we have with the local extension service to do that, as well as several other localities are investing in that too. And that's really about it. I'm happy to answer questions. I know y'all have a lot of folks to talk to tonight, but I want to make sure you have all the information that you need.
I'd like to comment on your youth expo.
Sure.
I drive a bus here for Carroll County.
Okay.
And I was fortunate enough to take one of the groups to Abington. That's where it was at, right?
Yes, it was
And
the
it
Washington
was-
County Fairgrounds.
And it was awesome. Just very, very neat. The biggest complaint that I heard is we didn't have enough time at each station because there were so many students there. But it was a great thing. Heard nothing but positive reactions. Was wondering maybe if the funds come in, could you divide it up a little more so there's not that whole cluster of students there, so they could have more time.
So across the board, not just from you, our number one piece of negative feedback about the event was people wanted more time in it. So for us, we are pushing through over 4,000 students over 2 days because it is a regional event. And so we've asked all of those employers to give us 2 days. So we've tried to figure out a way to make it a day longer, but the employers just cannot be out more than that. So what we've done is we have repositioned the way we're doing the whole expo. We've kind of turned it on end. It's going to be the way you went in last year is going to be the way you're going out. We're going to have team leads. Instead of folks getting off the bus and kind of having to talk to us and kind of get the instructions, we're going to have a whole set of volunteers at the bottom of the hill, and one pops on the bus. So I'm your tour guide on that bus, since that way you have about 5 minutes going up the hill. I can get your class up to speed, tell them where to go, boom, they can get off the bus. So every place that we could build in an additional 5 minutes, that's not the only extra 5 minutes we were able to find. We have done it. So I think that will be a little bit better this year. But
it was an awesome expo.
Yeah,
It really
thank
was
you.
Very well.
The other piece of feedback that we've heard a lot is that folks want us to extend it into the evening for parents and public to be able to come do that. So we're not going to do that this year, but we're still looking ahead to next year as well.
But I just wanted to comment. It was very well done.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And we had employers from here in Carroll County as well. Yeah, it's fun.
Yes,
It's
we
great.
did.
It's a
Virginia
great
Produce
event.
was there. Virginia Produce was there.
Virginia Produce, Mohawk works with us a lot,
Several different
Vanguard
companies.
as well.
Your Backpacks Unite program, is it pretty successful at Gladeville and Oakland? Is it?
It is. It is. I don't have the sponsor names for those folks, but typically those groups of kids are 24. We work with Food City to be able to leverage our investment. So what we did a couple of years ago is we took an initial investment of $70,000, and we were doing it ourselves in one school. Well, the schools talk, the principals talk, the superintendents talk. So we were getting a lot of phone calls to expand that program. So we went to Steve Smith at Food City, and he helped us set up a way to leverage the investment because we have local sponsors in the community that help pay for half of the food annually, and they also go to the local store, pick up the food, divide it up into bags, and they take it to the school. It's typically done about 5 or 6 weeks at a time, and so that's
How often do you send the backpacks?
Every Friday.
Every Friday?
Every Friday. Yep. So those students are in specific classrooms. We leave it up to the teachers to identify those students. We don't put a ton of financial guidelines on that because we know that our teachers know their families. They know those moms that might be raising their nieces and nephews, but maybe they're not necessarily on her taxes. So we leave it up to the teachers and the school staff to identify those students who are receiving those backpacks.
Anyone else got anything?
Yeah.
I retired from the school system, and it was, you would think there are no hungry kids in the county. Carroll, looking at me and a lot of other people, they look like they eat well, okay? But we had children that we finally figured out that they would get their breakfast or whatever, and immediately turn around and come back through the line. And what they were doing was putting food in their backpack
To take it home.
to take home for supper that night and so forth. And we worked with churches, especially it was a problem on Friday. And we worked with area churches, and PTO did a lot of things. And we tried to do backpacks to go home. And there are a lot of situations that kids don't eat.
Sure.
And,
It is still a problem in our region, unfortunately.
Yeah, and one of the things we zeroed in on was that a 2-hour delay. Well, instead of breakfast at 8:30, they would get breakfast at 10:30. But then some of them turned around and went to lunch at 11:15. But we zeroed on, we always serve breakfast because some of those kids ate at 5 o'clock or maybe didn't eat, but they normally would eat supper around 5 o'clock. And then you go 5 o'clock next morning, it's 12 hours, 6, 7, 8, and then 2-hour delay, 9, 10. And they've gone 16, 17 hours without a meal. And we decided they were going to get breakfast regardless. And we did some quick breakfasts because if I go over an hour, I'm starved to death. But like these kids were going these long hours. And
Sure.
I support your efforts with the backpack, so forth. Another problem, and one reason that another problem in the county, and we were in some ways dealing with some of that tonight, is everybody says industry, industry, industry. And we dealt with some possible things tonight that has the possibility of bringing in or opening up a couple of hundred jobs in the county.
Great.
Either directly or indirectly.
Right.
And that's about all I can say about executive session. However, it's not only bringing in employers, but a major problem that we run into is an industry expands by 50 people. Well, that sounds wonderful, and it is, but you drug test and on and on and on, and little things like they're not used to coming to work on time, so they're 2 hours late, or they miss the next day, and I applaud your efforts to give some soft skills to some of these employees, some of these kids that don't have a clue about what's going to happen. The military, the Marine Corps, I saw a program the other night, and they say that only 30% of the United States students that are coming out of high school qualify for Marine Corps entrance. Okay? And Rex will be entering the Marine Corps right away, I hope. Okay? But I applaud your efforts in getting. I mean, you just don't stroll in and take a job and you're late and you leave early, you miss a day.
Right.
And there's some connection to the little cup they give employees and they go to the bathroom and stuff, and then they don't get hired. And
yeah. And that's consistent feedback across the region of Southwest Virginia as well.
And we get a bad rap at times because some employers, they talk, and of course somebody new that wants to expand or something or come in, they may very well say, oh my goodness, we have to interview 200 people to get 35 good employees or something. And,
oh yeah, they call the existing employers, I promise you that.
So that's two really good things that I applaud for you. So,
Thank you for the feedback. I appreciate it.
Continuation on funding.
We are. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Oakland United Methodist Church is partnered with Oakland Elementary School on the
Okay.
Backpack Buddies program. And my wife is the director of that, and she's done it for probably 5 or 6 years, but she really appreciates the help that United Way has given to
Thank you.
let them feed almost 50 kids every week, and that's very close to your 25% that you talked about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you all. I
United Way
appreciate the
does-
opportunity.
United Way does good work, and
I
a
agree.
lot of it stays within the county. And,
Oh, yeah.
so forth. So
It does.
Anyone else? Thank you, Ms. Holt.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Our next is Feeding America.
Well, good evening, and thank you so much. I'm so glad we can continue this conversation about the needs of the citizens here in Carroll County, in particular, the food insecurity that is something we're all very concerned about. I'm Jenny Dowd with Feeding America Southwest Virginia, and I'm here tonight to thank you for your past support and speak a little bit about our collaboration together and a request for funding for the next fiscal year. Feeding America Southwest Virginia is one of 200 food banks across the country, and we are at Feeding America Southwest Virginia independently owned and operated, and we serve 26 counties of Southwest Virginia. Carroll County, where people are very prideful, they help their neighbors, they are industrious people, do the best that they can, and many of them do very well. But there are 10% of the population who are what we consider food insecure. That's about 1 in 9 people, and that's about 1,100 children statistically that are what we consider food insecure. We're happy to be in this community in 3 different programs. The one we're going to speak most about tonight is the Mobile Food Pantry program, which is a direct distribution of food to the people in need. The Mobile Food Pantry program began in 2012 with a gift from the United Company of Bristol, Virginia, to help establish a method for us to be able to deliver food directly to the people who are in need. And that program serves right now 9 distributions in Southwest Virginia, the one at St. Paul School being the one here in Carroll County. The reason we did this is because we have over 350 partner programs throughout the region. And those partner programs can be the food pantries, they can be backpack programs, they can be soup kitchens, they can be shelter programs. But in some situations, there isn't an agency partner program that can take on the food distribution needed for a particular area. And so we felt that the best way to do that would be to work with a site and work with a sponsor and just bring the food in. We didn't necessarily need an existing facility that would have to be maintained and volunteers work in. But in this case, we bring in a mobile truck with the food loaded, and then we are welcomed into a site where we have volunteers that help us distribute the food. So the whole concept is to be able to provide that extra need that people have, or an emergency box of food that they might need as well. In your packet, you've got a picture of a brochure of the Mobile Food Pantry program, and in the newsletter, you'll see in one of our sites where people actually line up. They bring their own box, their own laundry basket, whatever they can to receive the food that we have available. We use donated food primarily to provide for these mobile food distributions. And what we've done a lot in the past is what we had is available on the mobile food pantry. but we're working very hard to try to improve the type of food that is received so that it's healthier food. And so to do that, we've gone out and sought new partners, and we continue to ask localities to help us improve the quality of food on the mobile food pantry. Of course, it all won't happen without volunteers, and you know, that's the most important thing that your community offers to us as volunteers at the school to help us distribute the food. What we've done in the past, this year we distributed 127,000 pounds of food. That was here at the St. Paul site. That was 20,000 pounds more than the year before. That averages out to about 448 average individuals per month. And if you've been to the St. Paul site, you're going to see 190 to over 215 individuals in line or there to be served to take home food for their family. We're asking for support of $5,000, which would be about 15% of what goes on the mobile food pantry and the operating costs for the year. We distribute every month, and in a month where, say like last week where it snowed, if the schools aren't operating, we're not able to distribute. So what we try to do is when we're able to come back into an area to add additional food onto that mobile food pantry. We make every dollar stretch through all our partnerships. Every dollar that's donated, 96% of that money goes straight to the programs. We have a very small staff serving in Salem, Virginia, and Abington. The operation, mobile food operation that represents here is served out of the Abington distribution office, and they're able to send that truck out to 7 counties.
Are y'all
Yes.
on 419?
Yes, Electric Road, absolutely.
Yeah, I've seen the sign.
Absolutely. We have a large warehouse there, and that's where majority of the food comes in there, because our role is to secure and procure as much food donated that we can, and then we send trucks of food down to the Abington site to then be redistributed through the counties and the partner programs that we have. I believe the operation is, if the schedule still remains the same, that we'll be distributing tomorrow, and that's from 3:30 to 7:30. If you'd like to see the operation underway, you're welcome to do so. We want to thank you so much for your support. As I said, every dollar is important to us. Feeding people is not easy. And you've already heard prior to me how important food programs are. And some of them it's just not cheap to do. And every bit of food that goes out of our warehouse has a cost to it. It costs to transport it. It costs to make sure it's safe and consumable. It costs to train the partner programs and the distribution sites. We go out and we do monitors to make sure that food is distributed as it should be to those in need and not to others. We also, have to report back to the Feeding America how we're serving Carroll County, because they want to make sure that we're doing a good job for you. And if we're not, we want to hear from you as well. I just want to again say thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity, and am happy to answer any questions that you might have. Yes, sir.
Hungry children don't learn as well.
No, they don't.
Because their mind is on hunger rather than math or whatever.
That's exactly right. And as was mentioned earlier with another presenter, the backpack program is very important. We received a $1.6 million grant from the state of Virginia to work with 10 schools out in far southwest Virginia to be a part of that whole program where they're getting 3 meals a day for children, and we helped do a backpack program there. We have 48 different backpack programs in our 26 county area, but also, we're all for shortening the line. And you've already spoke about economic development and new possibilities for your county. We want to help shorten that line. We want to make sure that people do get fed that need it, but we're all about seeing that line shortened as much as we can. We'd like to be out of business if it could be. We know that's not possible. You're always going to have the disabled. You're always going to have the ill. You're always going to have the children. You're going to have people that can't change their circumstances, but we'd like to shorten the line as much as we possibly can. Thank you so much. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
What are the qualifications to receive food?
For the mobile food pantry, depending on the type of site that it happens to be, if it's a USDA commodity program, which we are doing some of those, you have to qualify through application. For many of our faith-based programs and for some of our mobile food pantry programs, if you come and you are hungry and you want food, you're able to get it. We feel like the site coordinators and the community knows best and knows the people, and so we leave it up to them to make those decisions.
So who is the contact at St. Paul?
Oh, that is good. I think I have that written down right here. Karen Rippey?
Karen Rippey?
Yes, sir.
And is it always on the 20th of the month, or is it?
I think it's like the third Tuesday.
Okay.
I think that's right.
And if you contacted the school, I'm sure they can tell you.
Yes,
exactly.
yes, absolutely. We're what we do is we look for a site that's where we can bring the truck in. That's we're able to maneuver the truck in and be able to accommodate the people.
You want to have anything else?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We had we'll have to change the agenda around a little bit. We had a public hearing scheduled at 6:30 for CSA budget, and we feel like we need to probably go ahead and do that and get it out of the way since it was scheduled at 6:30.
Does that stand for Confederate States of America?
Confederate States of America.
Or Community Services Agency?
So there's no one actually signed up for the public hearing. Did anyone want to have, should we let Teresa say a little bit about what we're after, or should we let Jackie say a little bit of something?
Officially open the public hearing.
Okay. I will officially open the public hearing for the CSA budget at 7:13.
Excuse me, I got to check on my grandchildren. Have your children had something to eat for supper? Okay, 'cause I had you covered if you want.
That's it. Wasn't supposed to come off till tomorrow, but I was hurting a little bit one day.
Hi, I'm Teresa Isom. I'm the chair and fiscal agent for the Community Policy Management Team, which is CPMT for short, because everything has an acronym these days. I'm here before you guys tonight to request a supplement for the Children's Services Act, the CSA. Due to the high number of children in foster care along with educational placements, our budget of $1.6 million will be exceeded by $1,154,304,000. The required local match at 34.4% is $397,080.58. That packet that I just gave you guys is a packet of information about CSA. For example, the policies regulating the FAP team, which is the team that determines whether or not the services that are being asked for are appropriate and need to be moved up for the funding source, which is the CPMT. There's also a referral form in there. It has a fake name of kind of like the things that we hear as to why the child is in need of services. There's a summary of CSA, and then a service plan, which is blank, but basically that everybody that comes before FAPT and CPMT, that service plan is filled out in order for services to be approved. These are cases that they need the help, they need the funding. It's a mandated, well, first off, it's mandated. We have to do it, but, or in certain cases, foster care cases are mandated, educational placements are mandated, so we have to fund those placements. A lot of them are children that have either been removed out of the home or placed in care by a CHINS petition through the court, especially in the foster care side. I am, yes, the Director of Social Services, but I'm here and only here because I am the Chair and Fiscal Agent for CPMT. Social Services is not asking for any type of supplement. It's the Children's Services Act is requesting it. CSA is a funding source for many families in this community. These referrals come from CSB, Mount Rogers Community Service Board, Court Services Unit, the school system, and also social services. Back to the team, the members of the team are those groups, the Mount Rogers CSB, Court Services, County Administrator, Family Preservation. They all sit on this team to try to determine, if it's not mandated, what funding can go for the ones to try to keep kids out of foster care. So there's that part that we also do. Over the 2 years I've been the Chair and Fiscal Agent, the whole team has worked very hard at trying to keep the requests and the mandates within the budget, but it's very hard to do. We all, both the FAP team and CPMT, want you guys to come and sit in. You sign a confidentiality agreement and listen to some of these cases, and you will see why that the funding is so high and why there is a need. So there are people here that would love to speak if you guys have questions on particular issues or concerns.
The $1.1 million request. So we pick up 30-some% of that.
34.4.
All right, which is about what, 400,000?
397,000, and that's the average. It goes from 29% or 29%.
29.1.
29%'s the blow, right? Okay, sorry, 29%, and then it can go up to higher. So we averaged it out at 34 because of a lot more. Less reimbursement is sent in because the percentage is different for different services.
Go right ahead.
All right. Is there any way that you can it's sort of hard to project the amount of monies and so forth, but is there any way you could, if you see that it's running high, that you get the information to us as soon as speed up that process? Because I mean,
well, that's $1 million question, I think.
The board had to pass out.
Yeah, the 1.1 million question.
The board passed out nitroglycerin tablets when we got that unbudgeted amount, and thank goodness it wasn't the full amount. And it's hard to argue for not taking care of children.
Right.
Okay.
And every year, about every agency is coming, or team, CPMT, is coming and asking for supplements throughout, around this area, because no, it's not really easy to budget. When we start in the first of our fiscal year, the CSA coordinator encumbrance all the way through the year. But with foster care, we get some in, we get some out. Educational placements, they get stepped down from different places. We have tried to kind of, the community-based services, we've tried to have them come every 3 months versus, to make sure that the services are working, or if they need to stop, or they, something else needs to be added. So we're trying, but no. I mean, I could come earlier, but there is a possibility. Jackie is a wizard. She is, at the end of the year, a lot of times we are over budget, and she gets things unencumbered because she counts people, either you send us this bill or you're not going to get paid for the service. So it is.
Do many of the foster children from this area, are they dispersed out?
Well, in your packet, this is actually the best part of the packet.
Did they go out of the area?
We have 51 kids in care right now. So of those 51, it's in here. We have 13 in locally approved foster home. In 2016, we had 0. So of the 51 kids, 13 are locally here. A lot of them can be in therapeutic foster homes that are in and around this area, but we have around 9 to 10 that are Richmond and beyond.
What's the largest contributing factor to foster care?
Drugs.
Okay. So where the kids are taken away from a family.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question?
Go right ahead.
All right. You mentioned that an individual in government nearby had a proposal. Is that public knowledge, his proposal? No.
Okay. Foster care, I can tell you from August of 2016 to December to 2017, we have diverted 126 children out of foster care by placing them with relatives, neighbors, whoever is deemed that could be appropriate to care for these children. Carroll County is a very tight-knit group, and they try to help take care of their own, but that's a pretty large number, because if you added another 126 to what we already have, it would be unbearable to handle. Budget side and keeping workers side.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead.
if you would entertain just a brief introduction, because I would love to pull up some people up here that help manage these processes for Carroll County, if that would be all right. Can I get my FAB team to come up?
Oh, I don't mind.
I'm sorry you folks had to wait so long.
No, that's
okay. My name is Andrew Petty. I'm on the FAP team, and I work with Mount Rogers Community Services Board. And I mainly wanted to speak about CSA and bring mention to the community-based services that we provide. There are multiple agencies in the area that provide community-based services, and the county match for that is actually 14.55%. So the state incentivizes prevention and interventions in the community to help avoid foster care placement or help avoid residential placement. So we try to intervene before it gets to the point where they need the residential treatment or the foster care placement. And we also have intensive care coordination, which has been a large part of Mount Rogers services this year, and it helps with residential placement, with getting the kids home quicker, finding the correct placement, making sure the placement is effective in treating the child. So ICC, I feel like, saves a lot of money in that we can get kids home quicker and more effectively. That was all I was going to say about the community-based services, if anyone had any questions. And I also agree, we have been seeing more kids, I think, in foster care recently because of some of the drug factors in the community.
Do you want me to introduce you? I can introduce you.
I can introduce myself. I just don't have a speech like that prepared. I'm Becky Ratcliffe. I'm the services supervisor here at DSS, and I also sit on the FAP team.
My name is Doug Garvey. I'm supervisor with Court Services with the Virginia Department of Juvenile Justice. We've reinvested a lot of savings from closing correctional centers recently. So we have another funding stream that we're utilizing for a lot of our children that saved CSA a lot of money in the last year. In the 27th Judicial District, we spent over $100,000. That's not CSA funds due to that reinvestment from closing the correctional centers. Also want to commend Ms. Isom and Becky for the good work they've done. They've done an outstanding job in the last couple of years of finding homes for kids, with family and friends that saved a lot of money from not going into foster care. So they've done an outstanding job.
Excuse me, on the correctional centers, are
juvenile correctional centers?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a son in law enforcement, and I've had the pleasure of riding with him, taking kids to the far reaches of Virginia. I mean, where do kids go to juvenile detention centers? I mean,
we still have one in Richmond. We've also converted some detention homes into community placement programs, so kids are moved out of the old prisons into community placement programs that are detention homes, and they get services there. And the state has allowed DJJ to reinvest those funds when the prisons close so that we could provide something called EBA, Evidence-Based Associates. We are able to use that money to purchase services locally for kids that are working with the court so they don't have to go through CSA, and saves the county money. All that is state funds. It's a quicker response process so that we can get the funds to the providers and get the kids getting services more quickly than going through the FAPT and CSA process.
I'm Beth Roper, and I'm with Family Preservation Services. It's a for-profit agency that does provide services similar to Mount Rogers, and we're always expanding the services that we offer to try to help meet the needs of the families in Carroll County and surrounding areas. One of the dilemmas that we face is, much like Andrew, is that the mandated funds take up so much of a county's budget that there's very little for preventive services. And if we could find a way to flip that, everyone would benefit. The county would benefit financially, and the children and families would benefit.
Would you mind telling me about the virtual residential program?
Okay, we don't have many cases on it. But another service we offer, it's not, we don't do it that often because it's very intensive. It's called Virtual Residential Program. Essentially, you take a residential facility-like setting and you bring it to the home. So you set the requirements and you kind of take over the home. You set what the child can do, who they can be around, what kind of things that they can watch, much like a residential setting, and you train the parents to do the same. It's a 6-month program, and 4 to 6 months, and you set them down as they meet their goals. Much, much less expensive than a residential setting. Typically, it's $60 an hour. There's a team that goes into the home, anywhere from 4 to 6 staff members. And so you have a combination of services. You have intensive in-home, you have structured family therapy, you have mentoring, and home-based counseling. You throw it all at the family at one time. Any questions?
My name's Angela Shoup, and I work with Mount Rogers Community Service Board. I'm a member of the CPMT for the last couple of years. Prior to that, I served on the FAP team for several years. And I want you all to know that those are difficult days. We all come together. There's required members of that team. The agency's standing here, and so we're required to participate, but we care to participate. We get there early. We work through lunch. Sometimes we stay late, and we talk about needs that are important to the family. They're important to the case manager. They're telling us about them, and then we talk about what we can afford. And so the FAP team spends all day trying to decide what the need was, who could possibly pay for it besides CSA, and then it comes down to well, we're the only funding source left for this particular need. And then all of that information goes on to the CPMT, and the CPMT goes over all of their work and their effort to make sure that as supervisors, we don't know of one extra funding source that could pay for that need, or could that family survive without that need being met, or is it going to wind up costing us more next month if we let it go unmet. So I just want you to know that a lot of work goes into this money. It's not just you came, so you filled out the form, you're going to get the funding. There's a lot of no's. There's a lot of families that leave disappointed, that don't get their wants, but we definitely try to stick to required needs. And I feel like the people on both teams have worked in this county for several years and are very invested in not only we are members of this county, but we care about the mental health and the stability of this county.
You're only dealing with Carroll County families and folks.
Absolutely.
I've been on this team since 1993 when CSA was first created, so I'm kind of the old person on the team. And so I've seen it go through a lot of reiterations, and different team members, different board members have come and gone since 1993. The need has just increased exponentially, you know, with the rise of the drug situation and things like that. I really want to second what Teresa said. Each of you need to carve out time to come to FACT at least once and sit and hear the stories, so you'll know for yourself some of the tragic consequences that we're trying to come up with a solution for. And sometimes there's not a really good fit to try to solve these problems and help these families, but we do the best we can. And we're very responsible about the expenditure of funds. We always keep that in mind. I live in Carroll County, so I'm very aware of the cost. But you need to come and hear some of those tragic stories, and then you'll know what we're struggling with.
Do you have a business card or something?
Sure.
I'd like to talk to you.
Okay, I'll get you one.
And I would just like to add that I've only been here for a year, but in that last 12 months, we have started a prevention program at DSS, and we can either take referrals from the court system to help prevent some of these CHIN cases coming into care, because some of our foster kids are off of CHIN cases. But we've worked really hard the last 12 months to get that program up and running, and we're working really close with court services on trying to divert these cases before they ever come here. And those aren't even included in the stats that she gave you from the diversion programs. Those are separate cases, and we're averaging probably 4 to 5 referrals a month. But when you take that by 12 months, that's another 60 kids that could potentially be in care that we've kept from coming into care. Not always, but we are working really hard to get that, to provide services that CSA is not covering, whether it's intensive case management from our workers or other things that we kind of steer away from FAPT and CSA funding first. So we are working on that too.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Do y'all need anything else from me?
I don't think we do, and I'll just be honest with you, with everyone.
Thank you.
I'm on the local social services board. I meet with Teresa. Matter of fact, we'll meet tomorrow night. But it's an eye-opening experience. I've got to attend one CMPT meeting, or CP, whatever you say. CPMT meeting, and I've attended one FAT meeting, and I do encourage you all, if you have time to go and sit in on it one time, it's an eye-opening experience, and they're in a very, very hard situation because we don't have people willing to do foster care anymore like they used to be here years ago, and families don't take care of their own like they used to. And, we talk about lots of things. We talk about the jail expenses, and we talk about CSA expenses. There's two things that we can't control, and they are directly related with each other. They're tied together. If the jail numbers is high, the foster CSA is going to be high. So it's a thankless job that you all have, and I don't want anyone to think that we're trying to be bear down, but it's so hard when these unexpected expenditures come up. It makes it hard, and I will reiterate what you said about Jackie. Jackie does a great job at unencumbering balances when she can, and she does do that. And I do appreciate it, and if no one else have anything.
I have one question. I was looking at your case presentation number 1 in the packet here, and the home-based counseling, was listed at $60 per hour. Is that provided by a private counselor, or is that someone within the DSS?
Oh, that's either through Mount Rogers or through Family Preservation. So that isn't, no, we don't get an additional $60 per hour. With that, if the worker, so say it's a prevention case and the worker is making monthly contacts, this is in addition to what DSS provides.
So you would pay Mount Rogers the $60 if they provide the service?
Or Family Preservation Services, yes.
Give me an idea what that number amounts to totally for the year, just roughly.
Is it in here?
Somewhere.
So, what? This is the family, like the first already.
Something like,
For
correct me if I'm wrong, it's about $850,000, give or take.
Is the question, how much was home-based counseling? Home-based counseling for family preservation was $4,770. And Mount Rogers would be under.
We don't provide that service.
So $4,770 was what we paid so far this year.
Home-based counseling is different than virtual residential, though, right? Yeah. So virtual residential has not even been put in there because it is a more expensive service that it's usually they get to residential facilities before that can even become, and so like Beth was saying, there's not a whole lot of referrals, but something that can be looked at.
Thank you.
The drug problem that's in the United States sounds as if it's hit Carroll County also.
Oh, it's eating up Carroll County.
If you can get Jackie to send us that stuff monthly, the expenditures, that's very helpful to me.
She's been sending it.
Yeah, that's really helpful.
Yeah, it does help out a lot.
And it's in the CPMT, we're like from year to date. Every packet for CPMT is a year to date. So.
Anyone else have anything? Thank you, Teresa. Thank you all for coming. Anyone else have anything to say about the public hearing before we close it? I'll close the public hearing at 7:37.
Mr. Chairman, can somehow, I don't know why my grandchildren are here, but is there some way we can?
If we need to, yes, ma'am. We'll move them ahead if we need to.
I mean.
We're going to need to.
Okay. Do we need to do that now, or can we? Okay. All right, gentlemen, I need a motion to approve the budget amendment for the CSA.
Make a motion that we approve the budget amendment for the CSA.
And I have a second. Start the voting with you, Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. McCraw?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Dr. Littrell?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. Is that all we need? All right, we'll go ahead and let you all get your presentation done.
Good evening. My name is Chris Thompson, and I'm the Executive Director of Rooftop of Virginia. Thank you for allowing us to come and speak with you all tonight. And, of course, we have everyone's grandchild. Yes, that's right. I hope that everyone is aware that Rooftop is a private nonprofit corporation. It's been in existence for 53 years. We work with primarily low-income families, addressing crisis situations, education, 0% interest loans, emergency home repair, Christmas assistance, rental assistance, co-parenting, early literacy, and intensive case management. Our budget is $3.9 million. We serve over 3,000 individuals and families in the Twin County area in Galax. We report to an 18-member board. Dr. Littrell and Michelle Dalton represent Carroll County on our board. We're a tripartite board. 6 members are elected officials, 6 members are community organizations, and 6 members our low-income representatives from low-income groups throughout the area. We have 29 staff that reside in Carroll County, and this is approximately more than $500,000 that stay here in this area just with the staff that we have with Rooftop. We have a total of 91 employees. Quickly, I would just like to give you a typical day in the life of Rooftop staff. Before the regular office hours begin, Head Start staff starts lining up staff and buses with early Head Start program opening at 6 o'clock in the morning. And we target working with low-income families, working low-income families. And the children are, the ages are from 6 weeks up to 3 years old. And then we have our Head Start program that serves children 3 to 5 or school age. And Early Head Start is a full year program. Head Start usually runs along the school system. It's really a holistic approach. We work with families, and then we work with the children with health, nutrition, education. The family engagement piece is very, very important to us. We also have a policy council that is comprised of 51% of parents, and they kind of set direction for the Head Start and Early Head Start program. We have a Head Start classroom in Cana, and we have a Head Start classroom at Hillsville on Oak Street, and then we also have 2 Early Head Start programs on Oak Street as well. The remainder of the children in Carroll County are served by the home-based program. We have home visitors that actually go into the homes and spend an hour and a half with them each week. About 50% of our total Head Start and Early Head Start program operates in Carroll County. So then at 8 o'clock when the doors open at Rooftop, clients stream through the door with crises such as rent eviction notices, electric cutoff notices, heating fuel problems, and other needs. Staff works diligently to help find them other resources. We might provide a portion, but unless we can come up with the whole amount with other organizations, then sometimes we don't help. We want to ensure that that family is able to stay in the home for at least that month and stay out of crisis. We require clients to take budgeting classes so that maybe they can look at what they're spending and maybe redirect or see what types of spending habits they have. We have speakers from the banks and other organizations that come in and sit down with them. We want them to have some skin in the game, as we say, and sometimes they come and sometimes they don't, but then they don't get assistance for another year. Our outreach services reached 523 individuals in Carroll County with these emergency services. We also have a worker that is now going to Cana twice a month and talks about the different programs that we offer. And she also is at Joy Ranch, and she has begun to be there. Then we have many Section 8 clients that come to be recertified in the offices so that their rent can be paid through the HDA. And over $1 million comes back to the landlords in Carroll County while these clients are insured. They're living in safe housing, and that's all we do. We go out and inspect the homes to ensure that they're safe. If there are problems, then we have to go back to the landlord, and the landlord has to repair them. And then we will issue what we call a voucher. And this program serves 212 people, which is a total of 66% of the total number of clients we serve in that program. Our newest programs include Project Read. We're kind of talking about nutrition and health and a lot of services for children. Trying to get books into the homes of low-income families. We work with the hospital. We provide books for babies there. We give them a little packet and a little baby bib and a book to encourage parents to read with children at an early age, so their vocabulary increases. It ties right back into Head Start and Early Head Start, so that they can start to school at or above grade level. Also, Rooftop has added co-parenting classes approved by the state Supreme Court. We're the only one here, and this hasn't been in existence very long, but the lady served 13 parents last year. And now this last 6 months of the beginning 6 months of this fiscal year, she's already served that many families. And we have 2 weeks of summer camp. If you noticed on the United Way, Camp Spark is one of the programs that they give funding to. And we also have a Virginia Rules Grant that the local police department actually comes and spends the week with the children. And again, 54% of those children are served, reside in Carroll County. During the day, our weatherization crew is out conducting energy measures to the homes of low-income families with the ultimate goal of trying to reduce their heat and energy bills by 30%. And we do a survey each year to see if that has reduced the usage of their electricity or their heating source. And over the past 5 years, we have weatherized 94 homes and 25 in this past fiscal year in Carroll County. We also provide emergency home repair, and we've done that with 5 families. That could be a heating system repair, a ramp, or whatever. We get about $10,000 for that. Then customers are waiting to get income taxes completed through our VITA program. There again, that's another service that United Way supports. Those families making $54,000 or less can get assistance through our program there at Rooftop. Right now, they have already exceeded 400 tax returns since the beginning of February. 230 of those tax returns, of the 400, are residents from Carroll County. In the meantime, our staff is working on helping to do everything to complete our loan packaging for families, to get a 10-year indoor plumbing rehabilitation zero interest loan. It's a 10-year loan. And we have had 3 new homes built. That's to kind of do away with the privies, or if you have inadequate plumbing, we can do substantial reconstruction. If our day is in October and November, we're collecting toys to do a Christmas toy shop. We also provide space and utilities at no cost to the God Storehouse Community Kitchen. They're in the offices at Rooftop, and they're able to serve hundreds each night, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And so that's been an excellent partnership. Our agency has met, the national office has set standards, 58 national standards that community action agencies have to comply with. They're supposed to have complied with it last year, 2017. We are one of 20% of the agencies in the state that has met all these 58 standards. And it covers everything from client services to organizational capacity to community engagement. So we're very, very proud of that, and it took a lot of work to do that. We also do client surveys to see what types, they have an input into what types of services that we provide. Most every service I've mentioned are restrictive grants. We use local funding to supplement and support the above-mentioned services in many ways. For instance, purchase of toys, books, materials, transportation, utilities, facility repairs. We have an old building. We have leaky roofs and leaky pipes. We've had to do repairs to our heating system. Some of that money that you all give us goes toward, being able to maintain our facilities. We've had to do septic tank repairs, and we supplement with some of the money where the grants will not allow us to exceed those costs. So then we replenish the account. That's why we rely on county funding. So I wanted to bring your grandchildren here tonight. Actually, their mama and daddy, they have agreed to come. They're one of our clients here with our 504 loan repackaging. That's a new service that we have. Angel is also a Head Start parent, and she serves on the policy council. So I would love, it's always good to see the human side of all this data. So I would love do not move microphone. Sorry.
Testing.
I've
actually got 2 in home base. One is in Head Start, one's in early Head Start. He is transitioning into the center, and it's actually been a wonderful experience learning about Policy Council, learning about all we do, all what my kids get to do. And Rooftop has actually helped me and my husband start getting a loan to get us a brand new home with the room we need with our kids and something that we can actually call ours. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. Thank you.
I can tell you as a 30-plus year ex-employee of the elementary schools and so forth that children that come into school without Head Start or those services. I don't know what you did, unplug it?
Yeah.
All right. Those kids are at a tremendous disadvantage. A lot of times those kids come in and it's everything from they've been with grandma the whole time or whatever, but they have not had, they're really far behind on being ready to go to school and so forth. Now your son is probably 4?
Yes, he just turned 4 this past year.
Okay, and little Bitty is about 6 months?
Yeah. She's 10.
Excuse me, a grown woman, but Rooftop does a lot of services for this very small, the infants, right? Okay, and well, I'm familiar with Rooftop over the years, and y'all work very closely with the school system a lot. Does Rooftop still maintain? That one time they had a program in the summer for kids that didn't have any chance of getting employment, and they would employ them around the school. I don't know what's...
That's the work WIOA program, and that is operated by People Incorporated.
Well, excuse me, okay, but Rooftop, I thought it used to be the folks. Okay, back in 1800, that's when I was, so, but, I appreciate the job you do, and I am somewhat familiar with things that have gone on in the past, and appreciate the job.
Yeah. But we appreciate all the support that you all give us. We appreciate these families, and they do try to make an effort to participate. We are very grateful and blessed to have you.
I'd love to have this youngin' as a grandson, but I already see I'd have to take mom with him, and I can't feed everybody, to tell you the truth. No, but thank you. I appreciate everything.
Any other questions, gentlemen?
Do you work with the social services on the toy shop for delivery, like the Carroll County Christmas Fund?
We have worked closely with them this year. We've tried to work with several different organizations, and some of them will do their own. We have to meet certain income guidelines. We have to meet 125% of the poverty guidelines. So we have to make them fill out paperwork and everything where the Moose or VFW or whatever, they can just serve children. But we have to prove what we do and show the eligibility part of it, that we do work with Pam over there in Carroll Social Services.
I'm sorry you had to wait so long.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tom. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Take care of my grandkids, man.
Do we have somebody from Twin County Regional Chamber of Commerce? She was here just recently, so I guess not. Family Resource Center?
Good afternoon. My name is Lee Ogle. I'm with Family Resource Center. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Without the buzz. I'm the Community Education Director there. I've worked there for almost 14 years. Family Resource Center has been around since 1983, so we're getting ready to celebrate an official 35 years of providing services to individuals and families that need assistance because they've experienced domestic violence, sexual violence, or child abuse and neglect. Our services are provided to the community at no charge. There is no fee for services. We do not bill insurance. Our services are paid for primarily by grants. And we have submitted requests to you to help us with what basically equals match funding, what is required for our grants. And for our budget, what we're asking you for is 0.004%. It's a very small percent. We do serve Smith, Whitland, Carroll, Grayson, and Galax. Carroll County receives approximately 20% of the services that we provide. When we run the numbers, it looks pretty consistently about like 20%, and sometimes a little more. Most of our work is invisible to the community because we have privacy and confidentiality to consider. We don't necessarily advertise so much at large to the public, but we have really good working relationships with what we would consider to be referral sources. That would be the Department of Social Services, law enforcement, and some of those kinds of folks who are going to be the first ones in pastures, those kinds of folks who are the first ones encountering someone who's experiencing some of these situations. They're referring to us, and we're following through from there. As I said, we don't require any sort of fee for service. We're not looking to see if you meet some kind of income requirement or not. The fact is you have a situation, you have a need, and we provide services as long as that person needs your services. There's no cutoff. It's not like insurance that says you get 6 visits and cured or not, here you go. We're with them, and we're with them for the long haul as long as they need what we have to offer. And we have some things that I'm pretty proud of. In the last 3 years, we have had our licensed clinical therapist, our LCSW, has received an trauma stress specialist certification. She's a certified trauma treatment specialist. And there are less than 10 of those in the state, and she's the only one west of Roanoke. So it's a major thing for folks in our area to have not only access at no charge to a licensed clinical therapist, but also to have one who has this certification from the Association of Traumatic Stress Specialists. We also have 4 advocates who have earned certified trauma service specialists. And so that means that they are very, very, very trained in providing services to people who have experienced trauma, which is exactly what would describe the folks that we provide services to. And thinking about how invisible our services are, I thought that I would just share with you, if I can, the story of just one family, one local family here who came to us. It's been about 4 years ago that they initially presented for services, in need of services, fleeing domestic violence. There was a mother and 4 children, and it had been a long-standing issue of domestic violence. She had just kept staying because she didn't know how she would provide for her children otherwise, and it was easier to take a beating than to think about her children going without a meal. But the violence had escalated, and as her son was becoming a teenager, he was beginning to step between his mama and his daddy to try to protect mom, which was putting this son in grave danger. So it had reached the point where something had to change. And so they came to us and we put them into individual shelter. We don't have a group conglomerate shelter anymore. We do scattered site shelter, so one family, one location. That makes it, in all kinds of ways, emotionally safer for them to not be in a group shelter and wonder about what's going on with everybody else. It was just this one family in a house. And we began to work with them, helping them get protective orders. As the abuser continued to stalk them, we moved them to yet another location and worked with law enforcement and reinforced his understanding of what a protective order meant. We got these children enrolled into their local school or the place where they were living, and continually provided with advocacy and counseling services to help them figure out how to navigate this new world. We were eventually able to help them find housing that on their own, not staying with us, but their own, where they were paying some rent, and some local folks were helping them as they got themselves on their feet. And so on the drive over here, I called my coworker and I said, "Tell me what's going on with that family, because I haven't heard you guys say in a while." And she said, "I actually saw the son. He waited on me in this place that she went into. He's working now." She said, "He graduated high school. He's now going to college, and he's working full time." to support his family, help support his sisters and brothers and his mom. His mom's working full-time. The sisters, the children, they're doing great in school, and his family is thriving. That's the work we do. And we appreciate how you guys have supported us through the years, and we appreciate your continued to support us. Do you have any questions for me?
We dealt with situation after situation in public school that it was just pitiful, okay? And hang in there and keep working, okay?
So we all.
How much did Carroll give you last year, Nikki?
I'm going to say that the round figure was $3,800. I'm going to just pay you for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
Yeah. Request this year is $5,000.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Arts Council is on next.
And the Arts Council is here. Thank you, Chairman McCraw, members of the Board of Supervisors, for giving us this opportunity to present our case to you. And I will try to be as entertaining as possible, being the Arts and Cultural Council of the Twin Counties. Many of you know me. My name is Laura Romanowski. I'm the Director of the Arts Council. I've been with them since 2010.
That's an old Carroll County name, Romanowski.
Oh, yeah, big time Carroll County name.
I remember it way back, the Daltons and Romanowski.
But we often brought the Barter players to the Woodlawn School, seen you in many plays, Dr. Luttrell, and of course, we have the lovely and talented Mandy McCraw. I don't know who she's related to. But to speak about what the Arts Council does in Carroll County, we try to present a balanced slate of programming between Carroll County, Grayson County, and Galax. Of course, we can't do everything everywhere, but we do try to spread the wealth. We also have a very balanced slate among our board of directors from the 3 major municipal areas. From Carroll County, we have Dorothy Oots, who is an emeritus member of our board. I'm never letting her leave my board. And Sharon Lewis from Fancy Gap, Brenda Lindsay from here in Hillsville, and Donis Jacobson, who is, again, closer to Fancy Gap. In Carroll County, we have several major annual programs. The first is Empty Bowls. We've heard a lot about food insecurity and food-based charities and food programs this evening, which is very sad. But the good news is that a lot of us are stepping up and attempting to help address those issues. The Arts Council, we know, our hand is out a lot, saying, you know, buy a ticket, give us a grant, become a member, make a donation. Well, we need to give back as well. And we believe in the arts in service to our community. And to that end, we developed, we instituted a program called Empty Bowls here in Grayson County, here in Carroll County, in Grayson County and in Galax City. Once a year, we have a lunch or a dinner where people in the community come in, they pay $10 or more, suggested donation. They hear some music, they have some fantastic soup. Here in Carroll County, it's donated by Shoney's. And some homemade desserts, some iced teas, some rolls, and they take home a souvenir bowl that's made by one of the art students at Carroll County High School. And the idea is that when you take that souvenir bowl home that's been handcrafted by your grandchild or your niece or your son or daughter, and you put it on your bookshelf and you put it on your coffee table, when you walk by it, you remember somewhere in your community there is an empty bowl. Someone is going hungry. And all of the money that we raise at that event in Carroll County and in each of the other areas stays directly in that community. It does not go to the Arts Council. It does not pay for my salary. It doesn't pay our internet bill or buy us a ream of paper. It goes directly for Carroll County to the Carroll County Ministerial Association's food pantry. Everything is either paid for by the Arts Council or donated by local businesses. The venue is provided by the First United Methodist Church in Hillsville on Vulture Street. As I said, the soup is provided by Shoney's. The bowls are made by the high school, and the Arts Council pays for their art supplies to do that. And the desserts are baked by community members, and the musicians donate their time. So this is our gift back to the people that support us. I make a big deal out of empty bowls because in the past 7 years, we have returned to Carroll County over $12,000, almost $12,600 in 7 years. That's how much money we've raised and how much money we've given back. If you want to help us raise that amount even higher, I invite every single one of you and everyone you know and everyone you work with, and I don't know, anybody who owes you a favor, to come to First United Methodist Church on Thursday of this week from 11 to 1:30. Have some really great soup. We'll be serving potato and cabbage and beef. Have some homemade desserts and contribute to a really great cause. There's a flyer for that in the packet that you have at your desk. Other programs that we target in Carroll County are our Arts in the Schools program, where we brought the Barter Players, Native American storytellers, singers and songwriters, and dance groups into the schools free of charge. The Arts Council, through our fundraising efforts, pays the artists. We do not ask for additional funds from the schools. We have Arts Alive every year at Carroll County Middle School, where we bring in artisans and craftspeople, where they demonstrate their craft to the students who take a tour through the gym. They stop where they're interested, have a little hands-on experience, and see that not only can a hobby be really great and enriching in their lives, but these are artists that are actually making a living at what they do. So you have that cute little hobby, that can earn you some money. That can become a career. It can become a lifelong pursuit. And we feel very, very proud of Arts Alive, actually. We also have our Carmichael Scholarship Program. Every year, a Carroll County High School student is, we offer the opportunity to apply for a scholarship if they pursued an art form and have a plan to integrate the arts into their future careers. They do not have to become professional musicians or dancers or theater performers, but how are they going to use what they've learned already in the arts going forward? Those funds are paid directly to the institution of higher learning, whether it's Whitfield Community College or a conservatory for theater and dance. We are also a 21st Century Learning partner with Carroll County Middle School, helping them to find and schedule after-school arts programs. And a very new project for us that I'm very, very proud of, Carroll County High School student Wesley Harmon. You may have seen him in some of the musicals. He's in Shrek. He's in rehearsal for Shrek right now. Brought the Arts Council a proposal. He wanted to start a theater for young actors, ages 15 to 30, so that there was another opportunity to do live theater outside of the school environment. I brought it to my board, encouraging the youth of today to pursue their dreams and get real life experience at what they might want to pursue, and truly just enrich our community with their talent is something very important to my board. And we took on Wesley. We have actually 4 actors that we were trying to cast for 3 roles. It's actually a wealth for us. And in July, they will be doing Completely Hollywood Abridged on the Arts Council's outdoor stage. I could go on and on and on, and I do not want to take up more of time. You have supported us for many years now with a one-on-one match between what is now known as Creative Community Partners Grant through the Virginia Commission for the Arts. We have received $1,000 in the Carroll County budget, and that is matched by an additional $1,000 from the state. It is a relatively small amount compared to the needs that we've heard about this evening, but it is important to us, and we feel that what we do is important to the people of Carroll County and to the Twin Counties. I'm very proud of the work that I'm gifted and able to do. I have the honor of doing and the privilege of doing. And I hope that you will continue to support our efforts. And I thank you for your time. Go ahead.
Excuse me, in the past, when I was in the school system, there were times that I coordinated visits.
The last one was 1,000 cranes from the Barter Players.
Yes, and I coordinated if there was a grade level coming in, and I made sure everything was set, or the schedule.
The Barter Players love playing in your gym because all your kids could be on one side, and then the players had the gym floor to do the show.
Yeah. So I appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
Anyone else got anything else for Miss Laura?
Laura,
Yeah.
I can't be there for the empty bowls.
I will put it in the coffers. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
you very much.
Shall we pick out a bowl for you?
You can have it. You can have my bowl.
Excellent. Well, and there's also a golf tournament in June if you're a golfer. I should note there's a letter of reference from Brian Spencer from Children's at the back of the packet. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Brain Injury Services.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Next meeting, we need to bring in cots for people to lay asleep on or something, or maybe for me.
I'm Pam Hall, and I am the case manager for Brain Injury Services of Southwest Virginia. Brain Injury Services has been in existence since the year 2000. And how it came about is Greg and Fran Rooker had a son, and he was out playing like Power Rangers in the backyard. And he had a rope, going around with the rope, and he accidentally hung himself and acquired a brain injury from that. So when they went to get help, they ended up driving to Roanoke, even to Richmond or further to get help. So Fran went before the General Assembly and made it like her life goal to bring services to Southwest Virginia. And so actually the services for Carroll County, and I serve Smith with Grayson Bland, Galax, and Carroll, started in 2006, and I have been there. This is coming up the 12th year. I work with brain injury clients, and you all may think, well, who all does that include? I have a lot of clients that's from motor vehicle accidents. I have shaken baby syndrome clients. I have stroke clients. You know, any number of ways that a brain injury happens. And so what I actually do is I don't have the client to come to me. I go to them. I want to see them in their own environment and what's going on. And I set goals with them, and we work towards those goals. And, you know, we appreciate any funding that you all have given us. I can tell you right now that Carroll County, I'm serving 9 people in Carroll County. I have 27 altogether, so 1/3 of my clients are in Carroll County. I drive, I go see them, do the home visits. You know, I'm in their house, seems like sometimes all the time. But, you know, if they can achieve one thing, one goal, then it's worth all of that. You know, we've not asked you all, I don't think, for very much money. And I have brought somebody with me today, and I'd like to introduce to you Patricia Nestor. And her son has a brain injury. And so I'm trying to get across that a brain injury doesn't always just affect that client. It affects the whole family. And I'm going to let Patty come and speak and tell you a little bit about what she's gone through.
For you. 3.5 years ago, my son suffered a massive heart attack. And he suffers toxic brain hemorrhage. That was, my whole life just stopped. I found out about him through Blue Ridge Home Health Care. They were coming in, he couldn't walk, he was in a wheelchair, couldn't communicate. Over the last 3.5 years, she's been in our home every month, every week, whenever I call. She's introduced me to the CLIC program. My son now is able to walk. She set goals for him, sent me to places I didn't know any resources, didn't have any idea what to do. He wouldn't have come this far if it wouldn't have been with her help and the resources she showed me and told me how to get hold of. And I hope y'all will continue helping them because they're isolated. There's not just for my son. There's other people out here that can't even get, like, I hear them talking about the food pantries and being hungry and things like that. If it weren't for me being with his mother and right there, I don't think my son would survive. A lot of these people don't have anyone. So I hope y'all will take and help her because she's really helped me through a lot. And then they've also started a new thing called Caregivers Click. I get online once a week, every Wednesday from 3 to 4:30, and it's people in all through Virginia that have even worse conditions. There's a boy in there from Iraq. He got his arm and his legs blown off serving his country. And just to have them there to relate, to know what it's like for us as caregivers, and it's worse on some of them than myself. But if they weren't there, I don't know what I would do. So I'm very blessed and thankful for her.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you all have any questions for me?
Anyone not? Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Hall.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Again, I'm sorry it was so late.
Next is Southwest Virginia Cultural Heritage Foundation.
Hi, I'm Diana Blackburn. I'm the director of Round the Mountain, Southwest Virginia's Artisan Network, and our funding request comes to you through the name of Friends of Southwest Virginia, which is part of the Cultural Heritage Foundation. The request for funds is split between three organizations. 35% of the funds that we receive from Carroll County goes to support the work of Round the Mountain. 35% goes to support the work of the Crooked Road, and the 30% goes to support the Friends of Southwest Virginia work. Amanda Paris is a board member on Round the Mountain Board. She's our secretary, and she's on your all's board as well, and also on the Friends Board. So we're very well connected, and we really appreciate the time that Amanda gives us.
That's the Giles County name, is she from Giles?
I don't know how long Amanda has been here in Southwest Virginia, but I mean in Carroll County, but I think for,
You know, it's Kathy's daughter.
It's Kathy Stratton's daughter. Okay. I wouldn't, I mean, I'm glad we got her, okay?
We're just making sure, Bob.
That's right. Okay. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Round the Mountain, what we've been doing the past year. Like I said, you all have been supporting our work for a lot of years, and we really, truly appreciate that. But Round the Mountain is Southwest Virginia's Artisan Network. We work to support the artisan community here in Southwest Virginia through marketing, educational, and entrepreneurial opportunities. Our membership is currently around 320. I've got a sheet in here that shows the current Carroll County members, and I just wanted to share with you a story from Ann Childress, who is an artisan here in Carroll County. She lives in Hillsville. But she was chosen to, as a featured artisan for the 2017 festival event held at Fremlin. Anne received an order for 100 tumblers for all the participants at the festival event. She also got to tell her story about her work and about the living that she's able to earn as an artisan. And I appreciate the Arts Council talking about, there is an opportunity for the artisan community to earn some income there and to make a living. But she reports that, as a result of her being at the festival event, she ended up with an additional order. She also said that a business owner from Culpeper contacted her recently to order pottery gifts for his clients. The man's parents grew up in Hillsville but no longer live here. They recently passed the company along to him. As a way to honor his parents, he thought it would be a great idea to find a Hillsville area artisan to make the gifts. And he found her name on the Round the Mountain website, which is a benefit of being a member, as you get a profile page on the Round Mountain website. And he contacted her to make this commissioned work for his clients of his business. And we get that kind of feedback from our members all the time, that people find them as a result of being present on the Round Mountain website. This little card here, Hands on Virginia, it talks about the economic impact that the artisan community does make on the economy here in Southwest Virginia and all throughout Virginia. In your packet too is, this is a rack card for the Harmony Trail. This is a partnership with the Carroll County and the City of Galax. We worked with Carroll County and the City of Galax several years ago to develop artisan driving trails to connect visitors to artisan studios, craft venues, and agritourism sites throughout the area. And this is a regional trail guide. This talks about the 15 different artisan trails that are here in Southwest Virginia. And part of the funding that we get from you all goes to help pay for having these visitor guide, or these trail guides in 7 Virginia welcome centers along the major corridors coming into Southwest Virginia. So we appreciate that. We've got a couple new projects coming up that we're working on. Each year we have jury sessions that we evaluate the craft work of artisans throughout the region. And if they're a jury member of Round Mountain, then they get to have their work for sale at Heartwood, which is the Artisan Gateway in Abingdon, and also participate in some other special opportunities. And over on the flip side of this page is kind of a breakdown of cost per member. We provide a lot of services to our members, and so there's just a little breakdown about that on the back page. Next is Jack Hinshelwood with the Cricket.
Thank you all for having us. My name is Jack Hinshelwood, Executive Director of the Crooked Road, Virginia's Heritage Music Trail, and this is a labor of love for me. I learned most of what I know about music and playing music from a Carroll County named Olin Gardner, who lives in Christiansburg now. He grew up in Fancy Gap, but he was a big influence on me and helped me learn to love this wonderful music that we have. Carroll County has one of the richest musical heritage story that you can find in just about any county in the region. And so we try to spread the word around the world so that people who love this kind of music can come visit and enjoy it. One of the things that we passed around there is our new visitor guide. We do about 100,000 copies of that. It's in all Virginia welcome centers, racks like restaurants and hotels throughout North Carolina, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia. That contains also the listings for 2 of the affiliate venues in Carroll County, one the Fiddle and Plow over at Willard Gayhart's Frame Shop, as well as the Lambsburg Community Center in Lambsburg. One of the things in your package, the very last page, is just one copy of the media coverage that the Crooked Road brings to our region in a very positive light about this incredible heritage. That was a full, that's from the Washington Post, and it's not the travel section, that's from last July, the front page of the Washington Post. And I stay amazed at how long the Crooked Road in its second decade now continues to captivate people's interest in our region, in our music and culture. I mentioned the affiliated venues, and of course one of the major venues that is partly in Carroll County is the Blue Ridge Music Center. And we do work year-round to promote that through the visitor guide, through our website. We take great artists from this region out on tour. We take them across the state. We've had them up in the Northeast in the past year or two to really let people get a taste of what they can experience if they come actually visit this place. We do promote the region's music in the IBMA, International Bluegrass Music Conference in Raleigh, and other shows of that sort. We have now the 9-day Mountains of Music Homecoming celebration, which is region-wide. 47 communities participated in that last year, and that is bringing in additional visitors and getting the word out about the Crooked Road in new places. We have a traditional music education program where we have after-school programs for kids to learn this music from accomplished musicians. We have a youth music festival coming up in May, the 7th annual, and we let youth artists from different communities throughout Southwest Virginia come each month and do concert performances in a professional setting. I believe part of your package, or what we handed out there, was a one-pager on the economic impact of these people that come here, that come here for the Crooked Road is what they measured. The Virginia Tech Office of Economic Development and measured that as roughly $9 million a year that those folks are bringing into the region. And the last thing I'll mention that we're pretty excited about is these two CD projects. This one is we record those concerts every year from the homecoming in June, and we pick the best music from those concerts and create a CD every year. This is the 2016 live concert recordings, and this is a double disc of great guitar music from this region. And these are both been nominated for the Independent Music Awards March 31st at the Lincoln Center in New York. This one for Best Live Album, and both of them for Best Compilation Album. Two of the 5 nominees in that particular category. And I was just looking as we were waiting here just to see, you all have 3 Carroll Countyans on this recording, and about 7 on this one. So that's part of what we do. We try to let the world know about the artists in this region and the incredible music they make. So you all are definitely well represented there. So appreciate being here tonight and the invitation to come speak to you.
Thank you.
I'm Emily Mayo with Friends of Southwest Virginia, and I work as the Tourism and Recreation Development Specialist. And this is?
I'm Marcia Dempsey, and I'm the Development Programs Administrator, so I manage the grants and do a project management role for the organization.
So we're here to represent the Cultural and Heritage Foundation and Friends of Southwest Virginia. We serve a 19-county region spanning from Franklin County to Lee County, and we're also here as a partner with the Crooked Road and Round the Mountains. So this ASK serves 3 different entities, all with separate boards. What we do is we go into communities and we find out what's unique, what's natural, and what cultural assets they have, and we help promote and develop those. So we have 4 different components of our entity. We have our operations organization, which is a one-woman show of Kaylin Collins. We have our marketing department, which is Jenna Wagner. So she promotes the region and gets people to Southwest Virginia. And then we have our Heartwood department, which serves as a gateway to Southwest Virginia communities. So to inspire travel out into the region. And then Marcia and I work on the development side. So we seek out regional opportunities in that creative economy of art, music, outdoor recreation to build up these communities in Southwest Virginia. We're partially community development. So 3 of our staff members are actually staffed through the State Department of Housing and Community Development. We're partially tourism development, and the ultimate goal is to drive economic development back to the region. So in those small business tourism assets. We are partner driven, so each community that we work with is different. How we work with the coal fields is going to look different than how we're in the New River Valley or Blue Ridge Plateau. We have a couple of exciting upcoming changes. We're under a new director, Chris Cannon. He's actually a keynote speaker tonight at a tourism conference for the state of Virginia. We've hired a second person as a tourism and recreation development specialist, so that's going to help better serve the entire 19-county region. We launched a Southwest Virginia beer trail that goes through the 19 counties, and we're going to launch a wine trail. So again, connecting to those cultural and natural assets. We're hosting adventure tourism workshops throughout the region, so we partner with the local communities, Virginia Community Capital, and Virginia Tourism Corporation to let communities know where those gaps are and then connect the people in the communities to those resources. So how to start a business, what opportunities are out there, what resources are available. And I, on the development side, have been working with a Blue Ridge Plateau group. So it's a group of business leaders throughout Carroll, Grayson, Floyd, Franklin, Patrick, and City of Galax to identify where the gaps are and how you can increase expenditures into the communities. So to get people off the parkway and out into the communities to experience the art, music, and outdoor recreation. Our annual report has a great summary of all the projects that we've been working on and breaks it down by county as to the
economic impact that tourism is driving in the region.
So that was a really high-level summary of what we do.
It could take all night.
Do you guys have any questions for us? Or for all of us?
All of us.
I thank you all for coming, and thank you. And I'm going to step in and say what Bob's been saying. I'm sorry it's so late, but it's been very informative. I mean, I've lived here all my life, and you all have shared things with me that I had no idea. So, thank you all.
It's a really fun entity too, because you get to be creative with each county that you're working with.
Do some of their artisans have products over here at the farmer's market tourism office?
Yes, a number of them do.
I thought they might.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone from Freeze Recreation?
We do.
Okay.
What I lack in knowledge and eloquence of speech, I will make up for by being as brief as possible. I'm very proud of the Freeze Community Center, and I invite everyone here, everyone who's left here, to come over. We're a part of the Crooked Road. Our weekly jam is part of the Crooked Road. We have a super jam in June, and they're always on Thursdays, 6:30 to 9. And people arrive early for coffee, but any time is fine. We have a Henry Witter Festival in the spring, and that's a part of the Crooked Road as well. So we have several sanctions.
Hindu Witter Festival.
Henry Witter. Henry Witter is considered the founding father by a lot of people of country music. So
I get in trouble when I don't wear my hearing aids because I would have bet my life you said Hindu Witter Festival.
That's actually in June. So.
I was just trying to think about how many Hindu widows were in this area of the state.
Well, come on over and I'll give you the 10-point plan on our festival. Sign you up as a volunteer. I made some brief notes. After years of partnership with Carroll County, the Freeze Recreation Center found itself being questioned about finances and procedures. They were not always open to questions, and like all of us, they did not appreciate critiques. They disbanded at the request of Mayor Richard Farmer in December of 2014. So the Freeze Recreation Center has not existed in over 3 years. Equipment was sold, employees' jobs were abolished, and all accounts that they had were closed. I'm just telling you that so we all have a brief overview of what has been going on. Now, in January of the next year, January of 2015, we took over as a board. We are a board of volunteers. We have I've worked in healthcare and radio and as a musician for years. I know nothing about running a board of directors. My treasurer is a retired ped nurse. She spent years and years taking care of children in an ER. And she does a great job, and everybody gives it their all. But as far as that being our bailiwick, it wasn't. It's what we came in and came to do because we thought the system was failing in our home. So when we formed as a board, when we came in, there was no financial information given to us. We got not one sheet of paper that had any bank records, any fund. This is how you run a festival. This is how you do whatever. We knew there were bills coming in, but we had no way of paying the bills. So everything I did for the first 3 months was try to figure out how many hot dogs I had to sell at the games to pay for it. We had no bank account. We opened a bank account, and one of the first things that I did was change the name on our 501c3. So we're not affiliated with the old group. Nobody from the old group works with us or is on the board. And we severed all ties from any business standpoint. Now, the people in the town are all welcome, and anybody who was on the board previously or anything, it makes no difference to us. We're just very secure with what we do as far as funding. But as far as information, not. We've always used QuickBooks, and anybody can see our books at any time from the first day that we started. We try to be very open with what we have. Now, we were told in that first year that Carroll had $5,000, which was for the old board, the Freeze Rec Center, but it had been given in portions because there were a lot of questions and documentation was needed, which was never provided. So after we started, in the first 6 months or so that we were there, we actually received that money that was promised in 2014 for the old board.
I think the problem was that we needed financial information. It's easy to dole out, but
that's right.
You need a lot. In the past, we've required financial audits and those kinds of things.
And the audit was actually in response for the old group. We had $4,000 in the bank, and we were told by a CPA that was working with us at the time that an audit would cost us $4,000.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't release $4,000, which was all that we had, in the hopes that I might get an amount from someone else. We had to, as we say, just bow our necks and trudge forward. We worked with Hickok Fern and Company at the time in Abingdon. We're now working with Jane Patton, and Jane is willing to do any audit or anything that we need. Right now is her busiest time, so after April 15th is when she will actually be able to do it. And she will do a preparation, a compilation, a review, or an audit, which I'm sure y'all are familiar with. I'm not. But if she does the audit, we can no longer use her to scan our books and make sure everything looks good every 2 or 3 months. Legally, she can't be the person who does the audit and checks the books. So we'd rather not have to have her audited if we can.
Mr. Chair, can I ask you a question?
Go ahead. Sure.
And please, I apologize, but what is your name?
Denny.
You are Denny Burns.
I'm Denny.
Okay. You and I have spoke.
Yes.
Did you talk to Jane, and this has been years ago, so please forgive me. I'm Nikki Cannon.
I spoke to her several times, and I called her again today just to...
The agreed upon procedures that we spoke about, I think back in 2014, which was basically a
2014, I wasn't on the board. It could have been 15 or 16.
Okay, whereby she would basically do a bank reconciliation and a listing of expenditures that wasn't going to be a audit, but it would be something that would satisfy the board's request.
It would have probably been at least 17. We didn't start working with her until, I think, last spring. But in any event.
Okay, so if you talk to her, personally, and I don't want to speak for the board, but a review is a pretty high level for a small organization. Some agreed upon procedures.
I don't feel like a review, a complete review is what we just need, like what you're saying, a bank reconciliation type deal.
And a listing of expenditures and what they were for, similar to a 990. I think a 990 would even suffice in terms of what the board's original request was. There's been some turnover, but.
Here's one other problem. I'm not the treasurer, and so a lot of it's Greek to me. And I'm not the secretary, but I end up carrying on a lot of that. Our secretary has 3 kids, and so we all just kind of try to pick up what we can. So
sure. Jane will know what agreed upon procedures are. She will.
Well, she's the one who had me to bring this up with you, because she said she needs to know just what you want.
The easiest thing would be to answer.
I just let
I can
Nikki
call her.
call Jane and try to work this out to make it as simple as we can for you. And
that'll be good. And I told her anytime after April 15th, I'm sure she's on.
Okay, I won't call before April 15th if that won't
Well,
work.
I mean, it'll be after April 15th before she can do it.
Sure.
Is the pool open at the rec
The
center?
pool has been open. It was delayed by a few weeks the first year we were there because the town had a water pipe burst. The pool has opened on time every time since then. I was told by a lifeguard the first year we came in, we changed everything we did. And I promised to be brief, and you've already messed that up. We changed everything we did. Instead of bringing in a lifeguard and calling in another lifeguard if we get a crowd, we bring in 2 lifeguards and send one home after 2 hours if we don't have enough people. And so I was optimistic that we would get at least 25 kids a day and need 2 lifeguards. And I was told that that was not going to happen, but it did. And we probably averaged most weeks 30 to 60 kids a day. We had 90 kids on one Tuesday, and we hadn't advertised any specials or anything. So we never know. And Saturdays are sad. You know, kids all have things to do on Saturdays. But we've been open on time every time, and we still swim for $3 there. But sometime we'll talk about all of our policy changes. We've hosted children and adults since day one for sporting events, senior programs, swimming, and of course we'll continue to do that. But one of the things that we do that I'm very proud of is we never turn down a child for anything. We used to have kids who'd come in from swimming and they always wanted nabs, they always wanted something, can I have a quarter, can I get whatever? So we keep food there throughout our summer months. When kids come in, if they want something, we make them sandwiches, we heat them up pizzas. If they don't have money, we don't charge them, and we don't look at the cost for any of that. If they want to play a sport, all they have to do is say, I want to play. If the parents can bring us money, we ask for money, and if they can't, if the parent says I can't do it, we never question it a second time. So we never turn a child down. If we have a dance or an event, and anybody shows up and they want to come in, whether it's a public dinner, or it's a donation function, or whether it's a paid event, if they come to the door and they just want to come in, they say, I don't have any cash, they come in. We've always used a no questions asked policy. But some of the things we've done in the last 3 years, we started with no money, we started with no records, we started with no idea of how we would get anything. The town had taken all of the festivals, and we had to do the best we could. In just over 3 years, we have put in central heating and air in the theater and almost given it a complete renovation. And that's almost a completely separate group of volunteers who have handled most of that. We paid for a lot of the stuff, but a lot of the other volunteers did the work. We have a new Christie projector. It's the same as the one as they have in Twin County cinemas. And we bought a 13-foot screen for the theater. We have a soundboard. We continue with the jams. We've had jams in Freeze for 25 or more years now. We have baseball, t-ball, softball, basketball, football, and swimming, and we put in an $8,000 scoreboard in our ballpark because the scoreboard that was there had not been lit up in years. So we got a brand new scoreboard. We work with the seniors in District 3. We have seniors come in on Wednesdays, and we feed them, and we always look at the menus, and if there's something that we feel may be lacking, because sometimes they have a nice meal, but we don't necessarily feel like it's what seniors need. It's been salad and fruit and breads, but no proteins. We'll pick up something like a chicken tray or pot pies from KFC, just because, you know, we don't know how our seniors eat at home, and we don't know what they're able to do in the time they're not with us. We are right now in the middle of renovating our library, and I will have paid probably $1,000 for paint alone by the time we finish this, and we're putting in new LED lighting. We've started repair on our old weight room, and we've repainted all of that, and it will be getting, it has some LED, it will be getting more. We had the first carnival, I'm told, in over 60 years in Freeze last year. I don't know if you heard about it. It's kind of a big deal. I haven't found any proof we had one 60 years ago, but I have to imagine there were a few more goats and that sort of rides involved.
I've been told that the only thing that board of supervisors needed to have a circus was throw a bucket of sawdust in the floor here.
I'm going to wait till after we get funding before I comment on that. We have upgraded the flooring in our dining room and several other parts of the building for the first time since prior to 1950. We've covered up, or we've replaced or taken care of a lot of asbestos in the building. We have, of course, the Winterfest, the Riverfest, and we're partnering again with the fire department for our Fiddlers Convention, which will be back in Freeze this year for the first time in 3 years. And we also have festivals in June, July, and October. So every month we're trying to keep something active. If we're not the person who is sponsoring it, then we try to be a presence, and we try to sell and try to glean all the dollars out of the crowd that we can when they are there. And if anybody has any questions at this time, I would love to.
Literally, it's the largest building that's close to Carroll County, or I guess you could say across the river, isn't it? And and there are Carroll County folks that have access to it, I'm sure.
If you've never been in the building, I can't imagine that you wouldn't be impressed. We have a 4-lane bowling alley. We have a gymnasium, a dining room, a theater. We have a kitchen. We have a big lobby with games for the kids now. We have men's and women's locker rooms, and we have other rooms. We have boardrooms. We have the town hall offices. And if you leave the Freeze Community Center and leave town, there's only 4 roads that you can take out of town, and 3 of them will have you in Carroll County within a mile or so. Carroll County is a short walk in 3 different directions from the community center, and I mean a literal walk. So yeah, we service a lot of folks from Carroll County, and we service a lot of folks from a lot of other counties. Our jams alone have brought in people because of the closeness of state parks and RV parks. In the last 3 years, we've seen people from Australia, from Japan, and probably every state, Canada, Mexico. It's really unbelievable what we can get on a Thursday night sometimes. It may be all familiar faces, and it may not. But we service a lot of folks. We have a lot of events, and I personally think we're doing things the right way. Other than being spread a little thin once in a while, we try really hard.
I'm impressed at what you're offering for.
I was overwhelmed the first night that after I was chosen director, I sat in the parking lot and I just said, "There's no way," because the siding for the building alone will probably run in the $125,000 to $150,000 range. Unfortunately, the mayor's group is taking care of all of that.
So you're going to put you're going to put new siding on the outside of the building, obviously.
It has new James Hardy. Is it James Hardy?
James Hardy siding.
First quality siding all the way around it. There's one side left for it to be put up on.
Looks really good. If you've not seen it, it's worth the trip over there to look at it. It looks really well.
I couldn't encourage you more. We bought thousands of dollars of paint in the last 3 years, and we've changed so much. there's a long way to go, but a lot of people are working really hard to make it happen.
How far would a kid have to go from Ivanhoe, if it wasn't for Freeze pool, how far would a kid from Ivanhoe have to go to get into a pool?
That's a good question.
A long
They
ways.
have to go, they have to go all the way into Westfield or Galax. And we've got a pool where you can pay $3 to swim. You can sit on our courts free. You know, a lot of pools just charge you to sit around there. If you're just coming in to sit, we don't charge anything for sit. But you can literally sit in our pool and watch a bald eagle flying up and down the river and the view with the dam and what we have is, you know, it's just amazing. We're very proud of it.
I speak the river and Ivanhoe dialect, so.
You used to work in carbide mines, didn't you?
Well, I worked in the mines at Austensville, which ran under the river at Ivanhoe. So.
Anyone else have any other questions for Mr. Broom?
Well, I think the board really wants to work with you.
I think we do.
And
we'll get whatever information.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, you've provided a lot of information just here, you know, and I'm just going to say this because I know this has been a long meeting tonight. It's been an extremely long meeting, but it's been very, very informative to me, and I'm sure for the rest of the board to know. And I had no idea. You know, we had all these outside agencies requesting funding, but I didn't know what they done. I didn't know, you know, who they had.
I wouldn't want to be in your shoes, to be honest with you.
And everything that we've looked at has been positive, you know, and it's all about helping the people that can't be helped, you know, well, let me back up, about helping the people that can't help themselves, you know, and the kids, and providing for them, and, you know, we're supposed to serve others, and that's the biggest thing we've got to do is serve others, so I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did we decide we were skipping DMV stops, or do we have to do anything on that?
Unless you want to make a comment about instructing us to go ahead and set up the public hearing.
The DMV stop that's on the agenda was for the treasurer's office to start using DMV stops to collect personal property tax, delinquent tax, and I think we need to set up a public hearing to do that at the next available time. Thank you. PSA property?
PSA.
You want me to address that?
Please do,
PSA had 18 acres of land on Fieldview Road, which is at the very bottom of Faddis Hill. If you're going toward Galax, it's to the right, just before you cross the creek. It was originally purchased with the thought that we might have to put a treatment plant there a few years back. But as it turns out, we've ended up sending our sewer to Galax and some to Hillsville, and that became surplus property. The intent of the PSA was to give the property to the board in lieu of money. It's assessed at this point at $54,000. It's not on the tax rolls because it's owned by the PSA. It's tax number 95-A-19B, and part of the property, the road bisects the property, and part on the right side goes kind of up a hill. On the left side, which is about half of the property, roughly 9 acres, 8 or 9 acres, is pretty flat. It's been cut for hay for a number of years, and it fronts on the creek. It's really very good property, and the PSA today voted to give that property to the board, and the board can do what they want to with it, but if you sell it, then any proceeds will go to the board toward the budget.
I was on the board of supervisors when that was purchased, and I agree with everything you've said.
So I guess we need a motion. Do we need a motion to accept or to proceed? Okay.
Make a motion, we accept PSA recommendation, I guess we say.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
I have a second. Start with you, Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. McCraw?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Dr. Littrell?
Yes.
Mr.
And I
Martin?
vote yes. That's Sulphur Springs, isn't it?
It is Sulphur Springs, and I vote yes.
We've got to fix the road before we say it.
Yeah, the road is not the best.
That road's pretty
We're
rough.
on the real rusty.
I was told to pass this down this way. The next item on the agenda is the Code of Ethics.
I make the motion, we accept this code of ethics. Only difference, I just put the Carroll letterhead on the top of what has been passed out before.
I have a motion for this particular Code of Ethics. I think we've looked at both of these before, and
this is just the last one.
This is the last one. Do I have a second on this?
A second.
I have a second. We'll start the voting with you, Mr. Webb.
Yes. We have discussion.
Oh, yeah, discussion. Go right ahead. I'm sorry.
I made a motion last time, and it was tabled to accept or continue with the original Code of Ethics that we've had for several years. And I really didn't see the benefit of this newer one, but of course the motion's been made to use the new one, so that's my comment.
Okay. Any other discussion? Mr. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. McCraw?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Dr. Littrell?
No.
Mr. Martin?
I vote yes. I don't have any problems. I'm reading the last page there.
And I will vote yes also.
You need a page?
I know I've got it.
Yeah.
I'll send
He'll
it.
send it.
So you won't have to read it.
I have citizens' time, and I had people, but everybody's done spoke. So there's no one. Does anyone else have anything for citizens' time?
Are you guys under arrest right there? Because you're in between the sheriff and the chief deputy. I didn't know maybe some sort of community outreach for prisoners or something.
We'll go into supervisors' time. Mr. Webb, do you have anything?
Yes. One thing I'd like to bring up at this board meeting was back in, I guess it was in March, the terrible windstorm that we had that started on Thursday and lasted, and we had so many citizens out of power for a very lengthy time period. And I started getting calls at home from people that live in my district wanting me to do something about it. And people were very understanding and that sort of thing. But one of the things I think we need to do is approach Appalachian Power Company. The people were more upset in APCO was giving them a restore time, and it never happened. And they would call back, and they would give them another restore time, and it didn't happen. You know, and I think they would be more understanding that they want the truth. I mean, if it's going to be out 48 hours or 72 hours, they want to know that so they can make plans. But the company was telling them, from what I'm hearing, the company was telling them, well, it'll be on by midnight tonight, and it didn't. And then it'll be on by lunch tomorrow, and it didn't. And then, you know, and they were getting pretty upset with it. And I just wondered, is there any way that we can let those feelings be known to the power company to be more honest with the people? Just tell them the truth. If it's going to be 3 days, let it be 3 days. I mean, but they can prepare that way. That's what everybody was complaining about. We just want to know. We're tired of being told one thing or the other. And I don't know if that's ever, but I did get several calls wanting to know, have you got any pull to get it back on quicker? And I'm like, well, I'll try. And I actually called the power company for these people. And then I would call the people back and say, well, they told me the same thing. So, you know, just wondered if that would be feasible to talk to the company about being more honest with their customers.
Steve, you have any ideas on that? Or?
Well, you could, of course, you could prepare a letter on behalf of the board raising these concerns and sending it to their corporate office. From time to time, APCO will apply to the State Corporation Commission for renewal of the certificate of public need and necessity, and
if you call in, doesn't it go to Ohio or
you have
something?
the opportunity to raise those concerns at that time as well. But the most immediate thing maybe is just a letter from the board raising them.
You know, and that's the case. You know, it does go to Huntington, West Virginia, is where the call center's in, and they do use automated operators, and it gets frustrating. And there was people that I know of that was said it would be back on by midnight on Sunday, and it was Tuesday before it was on. I mean, the same thing as you've heard. And
right.
I think that if we could compose a letter and send on behalf of the board, I'm all for that. And I wouldn't mind seeing us send a copy to the local office. That would go to Kenneth Belton's attention, but you know, that way he knows. And Kenneth is a lifetime resident here, so he would understand also. And I don't see a problem with that, Joe.
Well, you know, I know we can't control Mother Nature, and we're not repairmen, but everybody that I talked to was just upset of the fact that they were being told one thing and something else happened later.
I think Ronald was out without a power for several days, wasn't you, Ronald? So, you know, and I know that they work to try to get the most populace back on the fastest, and I'm very fortunate to live in an area where I haven't lost power. I mean,
they got hit pretty hard down toward Doug Spur and the outreaches of Sylvatus and
Laurel Fort,
probably Laurel Fort got a whammy too. So.
And you know, the sad thing about it, in my opinion, is these guys work very, very hard at what they do. The local guys that work out in the field, and they have a very dangerous job. Never know what they're going to come across, and it's a thankless job. They never get thanked for what they do. But I'm like you, Joe. AEP needs to be more honest about the time frames.
Restore time.
Yeah. You got anything else?
No, not really. Thank you.
Mr. McCraw?
Well, just commenting on what has been brought up. They lost a period of time there, I understand, because they couldn't go up in the bucket trucks because of the wind, you know, and so they couldn't really judge how long that was going to continue, you know, so they had a pretty difficult task there, you know, but it's hard to do without power. That's all I got to say.
Rex?
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to get to hear from all these folks. There's a lot of stuff that I really made sense what they were doing and that sort of thing. What I was really interested, I think you were as well, is what they were doing for folks in Carroll County.
Yeah.
It's just not. It's one thing to be a company or organization outside the county of Carroll. It's good to see what they do for Carroll County, and I appreciated staff getting those folks in here.
Yes. Dr. Littrell?
I don't really have anything except it was good to have everybody here, and thank everybody for their patience to hang in to one of our longest meetings we've had in a long time. Enjoy spring tomorrow.
That's it.
With snow.
Mr. Martin?
Just a reminder for anybody that might be interested, the Republican mass meeting will be here in this room at 6 o'clock tomorrow evening, and with a bunch of topics that are important. One of them will be deciding about, do we go with the state Republican election? Do we do our own primary? And if we do, what do we do, and so forth? And so see y'all then, most of you. And the next thing is, I made an error last meeting, and it was in some of the terminology. And the motion was that I made a motion to hire Sands Anderson to conduct the collection of unpaid taxes. And I'd like to move that we rescind that motion and replace it with and I forgot who seconded it, okay?
Rex seconded it.
Okay.
So if you, do we need to rescind before we need to go any further, right?
I think you can do a motion to modify the previous.
So that would be better. I withdraw all that malarkey, and I move that we modify the past motion made at the last meeting excuse me, I'm sorry, and refer the collection of the county taxes, unpaid taxes to the Sands Anderson legal firm.
Mr. If I could.
Can you help me on this thing?
As I understand, your motion is to modify the previous motion to not hire Sands Anderson, but to refer delinquent real estate tax matters to Sands Anderson, because that's a service we've already been providing.
Yes, and and basically the purpose of that is because technically you were employed, the firm was employed to do that previously, really.
You're not hiring, you're just referring matters.
All right.
So we'll take that motion in Mr. Durbin's form, and do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Is that all? Any other discussion?
The reason that I made that motion was that research provided by Rex was ring my bell, and it was time was of the essence. We could not, the board could not afford to put this thing off and drag along with it, because we were facing a crunch time on the budget. And do you cut tax, or do you raise taxes? Do you cut services? And so that's why I made the motion.
So I have a
Ready to
motion, and I have a second, no other discussion, and I have start with you, Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. McCraw?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Dr. Littrell?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
And I
All
vote
right.
yes.
And the last thing is that the board working on this collection of unpaid taxes was very time consuming, and it was a major undertaking, and I was just very impressed with the entire board. And I mean the two new guys and the old guys and the middle people too. I thought we came together, and the thoughts of the entire board was right on, and it was for how do we improve this situation, and it frankly took the whole board and county attorney and administrator's office all working together, and frankly the county employees had done a wealth of cuts and so forth. I've been on too many boards, and frankly, I think this board has the potential, and has proven so far that it will be a very strong, open, and speak their mind board, and that helps. I value each of you, and I reserve the right to vote against every one of you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I do thank everyone that is still here tonight. I thank everyone that has come tonight. I can't say again how much information that has been passed down, and how thankful I am to be able to get that information. I do want to say that it appears that our tax collection process, delinquent tax collection process, is moving right along. We're beginning to get some monies in, and I'm getting to talk to a lot of good people, getting a lot of calls and talking to a lot of people, which I really actually have enjoyed that. And then I shared that with the rest of the board earlier, that this thing's all about education. We're not educating the people, and they don't know what's going on out in the community. They're going to be upset, and they're going to ask questions, and that's what we need to do. And we need to be as open and as transparent as we can be. I do need to talk about budget meeting. What date was it? Did we have it?
I have 3 versions of a budget calendar for your consideration tonight.
Okay.
And I will summarize those briefly. One is the original schedule with the school presenting on March 27th.
Okay.
And I've actually hole punched them so you can put these in your budget packets as well.
Okay.
The other version is with no meeting on March 27th and
Is
an
that
addition.
No.
Tuesday. It's next Tuesday. Canceling the meeting in March and moving and having an additional meeting in April. That was the original request, or basically, that was my request.
Okay.
And then after some consideration by the board, I've come up with an additional calendar, which includes the March 27th meeting, but for the constitutionals presenting the budget to the Board of Supervisors, and an additional meeting in April to accommodate the school's delay presentation on April 9th.
Okay.
What day would be in April?
It's
First.
the 23rd. Didn't you say, oh, are you asking about the board meeting in April? Or the budget meeting?
The budget meeting, I mean, I'm sure I'm gonna be gone on the 23rd.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
But I'm a small cog in a big wheel.
The 23rd is the public hearing on the budget.
Okay.
Presentation of the school budget and the county budget on both versions is scheduled for April 9th.
Okay.
At the board meeting on April 9th.
Do I have any input, gentlemen?
I'll put you on the spot. What do you recommend? I mean,
Can't you be here just the 23rd?
of April?
Okay. And that's would be the public hearing, you said?
It is the public hearing on the school budget, the county budget, and the tax levy.
Okay.
I won't be here.
Why don't we move the county budget on to the next month? Can we do that?
It would be May.
I mean, we'd just be doing the school budget on the 23rd, right? I mean, if we moved the county budget to May.
Well, the county budget presentation is scheduled right now for April 9th.
At a regular meeting.
At the Board of Supervisors meeting.
At a
The
regular
only
meeting.
thing Mr. Martin would be missing is the public hearing
public hearing.
on the budget.
If we're gonna vote on stuff, I gotta.
No, we won't.
Okay, all right.
There won't be
And
no.
we can pick a different date if you
Well,
like.
No votes on the 23rd.
No votes on the 23rd,
No.
so it wouldn't matter. Okay.
Well, then.
And you can watch it live stream.
Yeah, we'll get that fixed.
So-
You can watch it.
Is everyone okay with the 27th, March 27th, letting the Constitution present theirs? Our regular meeting on the 9th, and then the 23rd will be the public hearing, right?
Yes.
Will you
Okay.
kick out an email or something on that?
What time, Salute?
Run that by me one more
The
time.
March
23rd.
the March 23rd meeting is scheduled for 6:30.
27th.
Okay.
I mean, 27th, I'm sorry, thank you. Too many
That'll be
dates.
6, right?
March
Yeah.
27th is actually
Year 6.
scheduled
April
for
9th.
6:30 is what we
6:30,
originally
okay.
had advertised.
Then our regular meeting on the 9th,
And the 23rd would be.
What time's the 23rd?
and April 23rd.
We've been scheduling them for 6.
That works.
Okay. I'm good with that. Is everyone else good with that?
So we'll have 2 additional meetings, just to make sure everyone understands. We'll have an
Please send
additional
out
meeting
an
in,
email.
I will, sir. We have an additional meeting scheduled for March and an additional meeting scheduled for April.
Yeah.
Okay, that's this version. Can I get a approval of the budget
Yes.
calendar tonight? And I'll give you that copy.
I need a motion for the approval of the presented budget calendar.
Make that motion.
A second.
Second.
Any other discussion? Start voting with you, Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. McCraw?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Dr. Littrell?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Thank you all, gentlemen.
May I say something?
Go right ahead.
We, as a board, need to be vocal and give these folks a direction of what we're thinking on the school budget, okay? Because it's the elephant in the room that we haven't addressed, and we need to.
Well, Sheriff, you cut your budget, correct? And do you mind us using that? I'm gonna point out to everybody
No,
else.
using it as a bargaining
Everybody
tool.
else is cutting their budget, the county's cutting theirs. you're cutting yours, and we have several other departments that are cutting the same thing, or making cuts. So I don't foresee anything more than what we had last year is what I look at.
Well,
The
I bring that up because
especially in light.
I feel like we need to give them some direction.
Well, especially in light that but of course, we're not gonna know till the session is in what they're gonna get, but at least it's gonna be anywhere from 500,000 to $1 million over. That's what the state's gonna be giving them, more than they had last year. So, that gives you.
I'm just uncomfortable. I mean, we've sweated blood over the budget this year, and I'm uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
If in middle of June, we find out that the school system picked up $750,000 or something.
We will have to consider probably the buses and the roofs in the CIP. But that should be included in the total package.
Right, if it's at this level, and we're including the CIP, I call that a win, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, we'll know by the ninth, Bob, we're not gonna let it back us up in the June, the whole thing's gotta be done well before.
If the state is dragging their feet and they don't know.
They have things they have to do. They're in the session right now. Like Rick, nobody knows, but, they're $1 million apart, it's 51 to 49, it's gonna be.
Yeah, but, three of us have sort of spoken and three of us haven't.
Don't forget the training. We're supposed to have the training.
Well, it was scheduled. There was some computer training scheduled for Thursday, but what's your all's pleasure on that? Jason can readjust it if he wants.
I'll be here, but
Jason was scheduling some training for us because as illiterate computer people up here.
Well, I had him scheduled to fix that.
Okay, well, we can let him fix that.
No, I mean before this.
Joe, you and Philip available Thursday or
This Thursday?
Yeah.
Yeah. Should be able to.
About 6.
I would like to come.
About 6 o'clock. If anybody wants to come,
send out an email on it because.
Okay. Oh, that's exactly right. Why don't we 3 of us come Thursday and 3 of us come some other time?
I don't have to be here, but.
Well, 3 would be a meeting under.
So we need to do 2, basically?
Do 2, if you're discussing public business.
Well, all they're going to do is show us how to operate the computers. I mean, for illiterate people.
It's as long as you're.
It's no different than it's going to be tomorrow night.
Same thing as go 2 and 2.
Okay, well, we'll go 2 and 2. Who wants to come Thursday?
Then I won't come if
you 2 want to come Thursday?
Joe, Neil, Phil.
I'll tell Jason you all will come Thursday.
Meet him here.
Meet him here, yeah. Okay?
At 6 o'clock.
At 6 o'clock, yep.
I aggravate him to death because
Yeah. Well, I think he just feels he would feel more comfortable with walking through some of the stuff with people. Okay, I mean that's just me.
Some of us are not computer geniuses like Mr. Pruitt there, and
Well, no, you all get whatever you need.
But I think he's really concerned about the Microsoft Dropboxes and all that stuff. He's wanting to just educate on that. Okay. Do I have a motion for an adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
Everybody say stand up. This meeting adjourned.
I need to see you.
Okay.
1 second. Question. Bob. Have you ever seen these before? This is the house version.